am your cosmic rootwork astrologer specializing in evolutionary astrology. You could find me on all social media at A Rainy Storm. My website link is below if you want to check me out for personal readings. We're going to be jumping into the Sagittarius, moon in Sagittarius, past lives and ancestry in this particular video. So if you're a Sagittarius moon, definitely check in with me in the comments below. Or if you're watching this live, definitely let me know if this resonates with you. Make sure y'all hit that like button, share, subscribe. Also the notification bell so you know every time I post a video. I'm definitely going to be coming through, rolling in the deep from here on out. So I know we usually had our post schedule from like Monday through Thursdays, but I think after this series is over, I'm gonna kind of probably switch over to Thursday through Sunday. So y'all definitely check that out. If there's, I feel like, I don't know. Let me know. Do y'all like the Monday days, or do y'all Monday through Thursdays, or would y'all prefer Thursdays through Sunday? Let me know in the comments and let me know what y'all think and things like that. But we just gonna go ahead and hop right on into it with the Sagittarius moon. Just in general, I know I did a moon sign video already, moon sign videos when I first started off. And so just to reiterate just a little bit what the moon sign actually represents in astrology, this is where we talk about the past. This is also where we talk about our emotional states. This is where we go into our, hold on one second, y'all. Let me adjust my lights. Okay. This is where we also talk about the relationship to the mother as well. Anything that has to do with like your hidden fears, it has to do with your like emotional state in terms of like people who know you the best, people who know you the most. This is where your moon sign actually resides. Very much so the hidden parts of the self that we hear. And also time is also ruled by the moon as well. So when we talk about the moon in Sagittarius in particular in astrology, and especially regards to ancestry, this is where you see somebody's ancestral lineage who is seekers, right? They travel on various adventures to discover not only themselves but the world around them. They have this sort of whimsical nature when it comes to like the thrill seekings and understanding themselves on a deeper level. You could see this ancestry being like teachers as well as sages, and you know, because they're so well versed in the world of like travel and things like that, when they actually do come home back to the family, they're able to tell these tales of all the things that they partake in, and all the things that they did when they were like on the road and things like that. So it could definitely be fleeting a little bit here with this moon, because a lot of times they spend a lot of time probably away from the family dynamic or away from home, to travel or to go on these long voyages. But when they do, or when they did come home, they were like, yeah, so I went on this. It kind of reminds me of Aries in a sense, but just a little bit, definitely a little bit deeper. Deeper more so in a sense of taking all these pieces of culture and different landscapes and walks of life and then bringing those things together. You could definitely see ancestry that maybe lived in multiple places. So you probably have an ancestry or a lineage that probably came from like different walks of life. So they weren't maybe housed. So for example, like a Taurus moon, you know, you could see this ancestral lineage of like a family who was like grounded in their area or neighborhood or place where they were brought up, you know, traditionally. Sag moon is more so like, you know, maybe you had ancestors that had homes in like many places, or they moved a lot, or, you know, so they never really quite were fixed to a place. So nomads, travelers, you know, travelers by foot, travelers on the seas, definitely practiced. You could see ancestry that practiced or studied some type of occult or some type of you know, they probably were, especially when we talk about that archery arrow with Sagittarius energy. They probably were very fixated or could have been fixated in a particular practice or study. It doesn't necessarily just have to be the occult. It could have been any type of religion maybe they were devoted to. Some type of something that they were into that they, maybe just went all in. For example, maybe they studied martial arts or something like that. So they, took long voyages, and maybe they were in like a monastery or something like that. And they practiced, maybe meditation or yoga or something like that. And they were like off in the distant, kind of learning through their experiences here. You can also see um, Sagittarius too, kind of like Scorpio and even like Aquarius, with moon here, the moon in Sagittarius. You could have definitely seen or had ancestry that lived outside of the walls of society. So they weren't necessarily like fully traditional in the ways in which they lived. They could have lived, even though I feel like Sagittarius moon, ancestry could have appreciated the finer things in life. They probably had a I don't know, I would just definitely say something that was very simplistic about their lifestyle and the way that they lived. Because when you're traveling and things like that, there's things that you have to leave behind, so you don't necessarily have like all the glitz and glamour of things. Not to say that Sagittarius doesn't appreciate those things or doesn't have those things, but the ancestry could have been less focused on the material aspects of things and more so focused on the experience. Like, I will trade this for the experience of being able to live and see and explore. You could have also seen this Sag moon energy being in places in uncharted land. Like I said, much like Aries, this Sagittarius moon was very, like I said, seeking. So even if these places weren't readily discovered by the masses, Sagittarius moon could have been in a place, in a position where they were like, let's go to places that's off the map, traveling the seas, across the seas to places that they've never been or never explored, and found these places and charted these places as well. Learning different languages as well, speaking different languages, being immersed in different cultures, like I said, trying the foods, culturally being just, I mean, engraved in or ingrained in, or just submerged in this particular place or culture. You could also see the Sagittarius moon ancestry writing books as well, about their voyages and things. So that's something that also could have came up as well. Just having ancestry that kept, if it wasn't like books, maybe like keepsakes of the things that, from the places that they've been to and stuff. And, having that, in their home spaces and stuff. So they had many things in their home, from these different places. So, maybe they have like a teacup from like China somewhere, you know, a little fixture from India or something like that, or maybe silks from Morocco, so little pieces and things like that, like little sentimental things that were actually stored in the home from these different places that they got them from. You can also see these long voyages um, of exchanging, so definitely merchants as well. Um, and I would definitely say, especially with the Sagittarian energy here, because, that jovial Sagittarian energy could be, or, they come from a place of, I would even say being pretty, maybe not like Geminian persuasive, but being pretty persuasive by their wit in a way. You know what I mean? Jupiter, this Jupiterian energy with Sagittarius is like, the ancestors is like, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So let's see what kind of mischievous things we can get into. Let's see how we can, you know, just set this whole place ablaze and then jump on the horse and go, you know. So this is some of the things that you could see. They, you know, even though they were seekers and ancestry that were seekers, and I know we can go to Gemini energy with the trickster things, but because this Sagittarian energy knew it wasn't going to be in a place for a long time, they could have, you know, kind of danced around and, you know, got into some stuff with the locals and stuff like that too. Definitely hard to pin down. Needing this sense of freedom was with these ancestry. It was very hard to just be fixated in a place because the mind wandered, the bodies wandered. And so it could have just been in a space for this Sagittarian energy to be like, I can't, I don't want to be, you know, it could have felt suffocating for this ancestry to feel like it was in one place because maybe they lived a life where they were, you know, housed in one place for a certain amount of time, you know. So when they got older, they just wanted to like break free and, you know, move around and do all these things that they never really got to do, and that's what really set them off in this path. You can also see, especially just in the romantic sector, I know I haven't mentioned all the romance with the past signs, but just when it comes to not to say that your ancestry and things like that didn't get married or anything, or didn't have like, you know, fruitful relationships, platonic and romantic relationships with people, but it might have been hard to kind of pin, you know, these ancestors down, because they were just so, you know, vigor when it came to their life. They just had this infectious energy that was just had this zest for life, and they wanted to go out and travel and, you know, see the world and, you know, see what life was really about and things like that. So they kind of, you know, when it came to like moving around and shaking, it was just hard for them to just be fixated, like I said, in just one place. Probably, like I said, probably somewhere on a mission and spending time in temples and, like I said, uncharted places where maybe it was a little bit more secluded, and maybe they had like Kundalini experiences that literally changed the entire dynamics of their life, or they went on like a mushroom trip or something like that, and they, you know, discovered the meaning of life, and then took that and then had to go tell the world about what they learned from that particular experience. So this is some of the things that you can see with your ancestry. Now, when it comes to the mother, when it comes to the relationship that you had with the mother, I definitely would say, especially with the Sagittarius energy, you could definitely see the mother, and not all aspects and cases are like this, but it is something that some of the Sagittarius moons could have experienced with this particular energy, just being in a place of, you know, the mother could have been fleeing as well, more so of needing her sense of freedom. And sometimes it puts you in a position to maybe be without the mother because they were seeking, you know, their freedom and things like that. You know, and like I said, it's not in all cases, but in some cases, you could have even had a mother, maybe she was in your life, but maybe y'all clashed in y'all's beliefs, or she really encouraged your belief system and things like that. Maybe she cracked down to a certain, you know, um, way on her own belief system and, you know, her faith and what she believed, and it kind of, you know, you know, especially if, you know, you're coming up and you're learning about certain things and how you know, your relationships to the world and things like that, you could have clashed in this particular way or not. Like I said, depending on what's definitely aspecting, like I say, you want to see what's kind of aspecting your moon and like what's going on with that. But this is something that just could have possibly happened here. Definitely, like I said, it could have been wise, could have been in study somewhere. Maybe she taught something in particular, but maybe she taught, like I said, for like a group of some sort, or taught people in general. So she wasn't necessarily always available. And even if she wasn't necessarily teaching, maybe she had to be in a space where she was like readily available for other people, but she wasn't always fully available for you. So it kind of could have caused a little bit of tension there too, just being emotionally and even physically available for the child as well. Um, I said sometimes, like I said, absent probably like in the younger years, Sagittarius, because it's older in the sign. Maybe in your younger years it could have been a little bit fleeting, but maybe in your older years, you know, as you get older and you age, you maybe even were in close proximity together, or you could have been in a place where you know, like I said, there could have been still distance and maybe trying to figure out the relationship and stuff like that when it comes to really kind of getting to know maybe their side of life, or the way maybe they grew up and maybe the way they lived and things. So this, like I said, this could have caused a little tension here in regards to um but another thing that I think about too is the mother wanting to have this. Maybe, you know, you could have had a mother that traveled a lot, or maybe she traveled for work, or if she didn't travel for work, she just, you know, she just wanted to take these long journeys because maybe she just didn't have that sense of freedom growing up. So when she got older, she might have had you, but she just was like, I need to go live my life and I want to go see the world and things like that. And that's probably maybe some of the things that she did. Um, could have been very religious or just had like some type of faith-based practice that she subscribed to. Um, or, you know, we could have seen the opposite of that a little bit, and maybe she could have been a little bit more detached from her religious practices and things like that. Maybe she had like some type of traumatic experience growing up that maybe she denounced her spirituality or religion and things like that, and maybe was like I forget the name of it when you don't have a atheist or something like that. So it could have been both ways. Like I said, you kind of want to see what's aspecting the Sagittarius moon here, but that's some of the things that you could have seen as well. um Uh, what I say, even a little less mature Sagittarius can be, even though it has this wise sage kind of energy, Sagittarius can be, you know, a bit, you know, immature, a little bit more on the wild side of life and things. And so, you know, just growing up and seeing that particular side of the mother, then maybe you took up after that energy, or you could have been in a space where you kind of wanted to separate yourself from that energy and not necessarily be in the same space of that and be like, you know what, I'm actually kind of want to do things opposite of that. You might have just been a little bit, slightly, a little bit more mature. And Sagittarius moons in general, they just have this, especially as a child, they are very wise, just innately just have this sense of inner knowing. So a lot of times they can be a little bit, not to say that they aren't children, that they don't get to experience childhood, but it might just be a little bit more advanced. And so the mother could have came in to be a little bit less kind of like whimsical and, you know, just, and sometimes just a little bit immature. So you kind of come in having to be this mother in a sense, having to be the wise child in a sense. But not to say that you didn't need the emotional capacity of a motherhood or mothership. It's just to say that, you know, these are some of the things that you could have had to experience just with your own. Um, and also could have been a little bit judgy of the mother here. You know, Sagittarius could be a little judgy with this. So, and I feel like all the signs have their own judgy ways and stuff like that, of how they feel and think about certain things, and but could have just kind of like maybe had a little side eye to the mother and their choices. I feel like a lot of this does happen though with like the older signs. Not to say that the younger signs don't do it, but the older signs are kind of like, why are you doing this? Like, we don't, should we know this by now? Like, isn't your time up? Which is never not. Like, I tell people all the time, it don't matter how old you are or how whatever you feel like you are, like, until you pass away, you will always be a youthful soul. When you get to calling yourself old and all that kind of stuff, you just spell it. You know, you just literally spell yourself to a coffin. So, that's what I really have. That's what I really feel and think about just Sagittarius moons in general. Just having this, you know, and just this keen relationship to, or just interconnectedness, or trying to find this interconnectedness because it's the moon energy to themselves, to something higher than themselves, in the world around them. But I think in order to really alchemize this energy with this Sagittarius moon here and just the experiences that you've been through, I think it's an energy where you need to feed that need for freedom. You need to feed your inner knowing of, you know, sometimes that your path might go these different ways, and you know, you might go through emotional roller coasters, ups and downs of like just navigating yourself through this life and just kind of, you know, getting to know yourself through these experiences, but not letting the experiences that you have been through really, I would just say, throw you off your game. I would say, I know sometimes we get thrown off the path that we think that we should be on, or we think that we should go down, and but I think just having this Sagittarius moon as a seeker, you know, and just being in this space of not always knowing and just having to lead by faith and not by sight. I think that Sagittarius moon can really, really alchemize its energy with this moon here. So that's a little bit of what I have for Sagittarius moon. You already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in and checking out. Without a doubt, we're going to be moving on to Capricorn moon and finishing this week up with Pisces. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. You already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in, checking out, like I said, without a doubt. Deuces.